Okay, so again, the first thing I've seen a few guys basically get in compiler errors because you forgot to put this int in here, or like you wrote the main wrong. So again, the first thing you need to do is write this and then do nothing else but build your project, like before you even write any code, because this has to be correct, otherwise your program's not going to run anyway. So I asked you guys to type in, ask for player choice. So I'm going to say, hey, which hero do you want? 0 to 4. And then you're going to cin into the choice, right? This is not any different than what we just did in the homework. So basically asking for what hero do you want. Okay. So if I look at the syntax for an if statement, a simple if statement is just, hey, if that expression is true, then do what's in the statement. So I'm going to just write one if statement. I'm not even going to worry about else ifs at all. I'm just going to do one for now. So I'm going to say if something here, output you picked tracer. So this is the part that you need to write your condition. You need this thing to be true to pick tracer. So I want a tracer to be choice 0. So how do I see if the number that they typed in is equal to 0 or not? Right? So I'm going to take the number that they typed in, which is choice. That's what they just put in. How do I see if it's equal to 0? Double equal signs, right? So now I could run my program. Before I even write any else ifs, I'm just going to run it like this. So I'm going to ask for a hero. I'm going to type in 0 here and make sure that it spits out tracer. Okay? And it does. Then I'm going to type in something other than 0. I'm going to type in 1. And notice it doesn't write anything. Okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write the else statement. So in this example, this is the simple if. This is what an if-else looks like. Basically, if that thing is not true, write the else. So that's what you write, else, the statement. Notice there's no parentheses, no semicolon or anything after that. The syntax is you literally write else and then what your other statement is. So in this case, my other statement is in case they typed in a number that isn't valid. And I'm going to tell them that you picked an invalid hero. All right. Now I get to test that. So I know that 0 works. What if I typed in 5 here? It says you picked an invalid hero. Okay. So I have like kind of the bookends to my choice. I have choice 0 and then I have everything else. Now I need to write everything in between for all the other heroes. So I'm just going to follow this pattern of seeing what the syntax is. So there's my if-else. And there's the final bit, which is the else-if statements. So this is just a bunch of else-ifs that also have expressions on what you want them to compare. So the thing I'm going to compare against is still choice. So I'm going to say else-if. Like that. And then I'm going to see out Reaper, Farah. All right. And here's a trick too. If you copy this and paste it a bunch of times, you can save yourself some work from having to type it out. So I'm just going to paste this, one for each hero. So I have Reaper, Farah, Widowmaker, Mercy. So this one's going to be 2. This is going to be Farah. It's going to be 3. It's going to be Widowmaker. And this is going to be 4. It's going to be Mercy. And that's it. So that's how you write it. So if I run it now, if I pick like 3, I should be able to pick a Widowmaker. Okay. Some of you guys asked what the difference is between doing this and just doing a bunch of if statements like this, which is a good question because you could do it like this. And you get exactly the same result. So why wouldn't you just do it this way? Well, what is the difference? Where does the execution go? Okay, so let me show you what the difference actually is here, because there is a functional difference between doing else ifs and just doing a bunch of if statements together. So if I just undo that and put the breakpoint here. So if I put in choice of 0, it's going to see if that's true. So it is. So it goes inside line number 21. Where does this line go after this? Where does that arrow go? To the end, right? It goes all the way down here to return 0. If I step one more time, it goes all the way down to return 0. Cool? All right, so what if I do this?
Slow down your program.
It will.
It's going to have to check every if statement.
That's right. So I do this and I type in 0. Okay, cool. It goes in there. Where does it go after this?
24.
Line 24, then line 29, then line 34, 39, and then finally 45. Also, this is a bug because it's saying I picked an invalid hero because that's where my else statement is. So overall, if you have a bunch of conditions and you only want to run one of them, you want to use else ifs. If you have the opportunity to maybe run more than one, then you can separate them out like this. Okay. All right. Questions on the if else if stuff?
Okay.
Yeah.
You just, because like I had it on just equal, I input equal.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
There's a big difference between those two. Yeah. I even mentioned that last week, actually. This is a very common mistake to make, is to accidentally do this. What does that actually do? What is if I do that? What is the difference in equal? It changes choice to 2, which is very different from saying are you equal to 2. This is one of the most hated things about C++, is that right there. In fact, it's so common, even for people that have been programming for a long time, that some people will take this and they'll do this. Do you know why? Because that's still equal to true. The reason why some people write, and I don't like this, and I don't recommend that you guys do this, but some people do, is so that if you write it, all your conditions like this, where you put the number in front and then the variable on the right, if you accidentally do that, that will give you an error. As opposed to writing it like this, that's not an error. Does that make sense why, like if I put it up here, why this is an error? Is because you're trying to change the value 1 to something, and 1 is not a variable.
Why don't you like that one?
Because it makes it hard to read. Like it's for those people, like you can tell they're doing it to be safe, but when you're reading something, a lot of times the stuff on the right can be very complicated. Like it's usually like, oh, equals choice. Is you have to do a lot of stuff here, like, oh, is dead and has weapon and some other stuff like this. You get to like weird conditions like this where you have to read everything on the left. Usually the stuff on the right is the most complicated part. And so if you flip that, it's kind of like reading a book from bottom up. Like you can still kind of understand the gist of it, but it's a lot more harder to parse. Like for someone who reads if statements all day, every day, when you encounter this, your brain has to like stop for a second and be like, oh shit, I have to reverse the order of that. This is because like 90% of the time, this is fine. It's only wrong when you accidentally do that. And what is nice though is that C++, like in the later versions, will tell you if it thinks that you didn't mean to do that. There's a warning that you can turn on, and we have this enabled, where it's actually only for non-Visual Studio versions, where this will actually spin out, like this basically gets the equivalent of a squiggly under it, and be like, hey, did you really mean to do this assignment? Are you sure? Because I'm pretty sure that you meant to do equal equal instead. So, yeah, that's something very common. This is what example of why bugs can occur. It's very easy to screw this up. So it's just something you're gonna have to learn and get used to. If you're comparing two things, you have to do double equals. Okay. Which is another reason why, if you do a switch statement, it's a little bit more straightforward. So I want you to do the same exact lab. So I want you to convert this from an if-else if to a switch statement. And for those of you guys that already did a switch statement, you have to do it with an else if now. So switch statement is the same exact thing, only this is the syntax here. Okay. So you put your choice at the top, and you write your conditions after that. So I'm going to keep this up here so you guys can see what that's like. If you need to see an example, let me put an example of a switch statement up on Zool for you guys. It'll probably be a little bit easier. Oh my god, Notepad++. So let me give you guys an example of it up on Zool. So I put a CPP file called menu chooser up in Zool. That's an example of how to use a switch statement. So you can take that and use it as an example for this one. You guys work on that for a bit. I'll be right back.
We're doing the same thing, just same thing, but
Yeah, same thing, but just use switch.
I did it first. I did it first. He told me that you have to do it, and that was like the one that really hurt me.
You know if it would call that if I push 6?
I like how I say
Call
it
the
right.
class?
But I type it.
That's exactly what I'm like, what's wrong with this? That's it.
It's funny, I was telling myself the right way, but the way I typed it was wrong.
I don't know why this one's too switch value now. Yeah, thank you.
Why is that? I'm not
Oh, no, we're going to
Yeah,
Yeah, we're doing it. Now we're doing the exact same.
Mine's
switch.
That's actually what I copied right there. And it worked. See again? Alright, debug it. I like accidentally deleted another branch. So the switch is supposed to be inside. Would I put the branch? I accidentally deleted or is it just only the C hours?
Why does it want to do shit? You see that? It keeps every time I go back, it like wants to do something. It's super fucking weird.
What do you mean? It wants to do something?
It keeps wanting to like, we can make a.
This, I don't know. What I did was like, it's like this whole thing is correct. It's just I don't know why it's not showing it.
I don't know. Cause I think I forgot one thing.
Copy, it's not free.
Huh?
Try to copy.
No, I actually
Finished it. What did you really?
He was like, oh, I wanted you to do a different tell statement instead of that.
So if you chose tracer. I just don't know how to call it down here.
You need to make a new one.
What do you mean?
You need to make a new object. So you're creating a class.
So we had to switch choices, right?
Tracer. Or have a new variable of type tracer.
Oh, is that what he?
So be like, yeah, tracer here?
Huh? Is that what he
No,
gave
not,
me?
No, tracer is its own class now.
tracer's its own class, so then I just call it.
Well, no, you need to make it a variable out of tracer. So tracer is now a class. So it needs to be tracer, whatever your variable is.
Okay, so what I put was like this.
yours doesn't work.
Yeah, mine works. And it's just basically,
so
I don't even think you have
it's
to
kind
put
of
the
like you're gonna put the variable that you're gonna
Well, I put it
compare.
because I don't do the, I don't do the,
So that's where the
the
variable
space thing.
goes
Yeah.
that you typed in.
Oh, so that's why you
That's
use
why I
it?
use it, yeah.
And then you put in
So
choices,
that's actually just where you write
see
them.
out
Yep.
choices,
It's weird, yeah, that's all you have to type in.
Yeah.
see out choices with the
So value
quotes.
one is what number you're comparing that against.
Yeah.
So it's literally just, it can only be a number, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, you write the word case, and then you write what the value is.
Because
So you
like
can't see the
when you
stuff in
when you
italics
do
is
the
what's
int
in
choices,
Can you see
you
that?
have to
It's
put,
really
like,
hard to tell. See, it says case
why you're
and then
putting the
value.
choices,
Right.
and then
So we'll just run if I do
Yeah,
that.
exactly. And then
Try it.
statement one
See
is
if it
also
works.
what you replace, so that one's gonna be where your C out goes.
oh, it works.
Well, hold on, let's see if it really
Yes,
works.
the colon's not in
Yeah.
italics,
Yeah.
but
Yours
see
is
where it
better.
says statement one and then semicolon?
I don't know if it's better,
Yes.
but it still works. As long as it works, that's all I can shit about.
Well, at least like
So after the colon.
you got something creative. Mine's like by
Well, let me see. I'm gonna look at yours.
So I can name this one whatever.
I wanna see. You did it.
You don't need that. You can actually delete that. Yeah, you don't need that number equals zero. Yeah, 'cause that's zero right there. And then right after that,
And that would be basically this.
that line, yeah, you can just take that line, you can just move it up or delete that, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly, and then make sure it's simple, and then don't forget the break. So break is not in italics, but you write on this next line is by break. There, so, I'll see this one. Okay, and so that pattern right there, you can just copy those two lines and just repeat that 5 times. Yeah. So you are holding down shift while using the arrow key.
There's
Just
a
highlight
find
it.
that there.
So go ahead and like try holding down shift.
The
You don't
problem
need
is
a
I'm trying
mouse.
to print
Like
all
do this
of
all
that.
without the mouse. You're not allowed to
For the
say that.
But I was trying to
So what I usually do is there's two keys I use all the time. Home and these keys here, watch where the cursor goes.
See, that was on the screen. I don't know why he didn't put it fast. But it was
So
the same. That's what John had too. Man, I don't think it really matters either way.
Yeah, see
But
how it goes together?
that's right. I think
So it's weird because like
I think so.
that
Maybe I'm
by
pretty,
itself is just
could be wrong.
it lets you
Yeah.
navigate a little faster. But if you hold down shift while you're doing that, it highlights that whole line. Shift basically highlights wherever your cursor goes. So now you just hold down shift and you can drag both those lines.
Tracer?
Exactly. Yeah. And copy. Hit Control C.
Reaper.
Later down there, you can say
Pharaoh.
whatever.
Pressure Control V right next to it.
Should I delete all of this?
Yeah, I don't think you need any of that, right? Well, you're gonna have to type it over, man. So it's up to you if you want to type it.
So where would I put the name?
You
of
can,
That's in the puzzle, right?
Yeah, you're on there. So yeah, it's hard to see up there, but anything italics you want to replace. Well, you got it.
Name it's like the call the class.
But you do that down in the main function,
Oh, you have to do it here?
like where you're declaring in players,
Oh, so it'd be tracer as.
and you go tracer.
Looks good.
name.
So you like here.
What does the error say?
Yeah, tracer, and then whatever you want.
No.
looks
Just be.
Didn't spell, you're missing something. So compare that and line. I'm tired. You can go for smoke now.
Error identifier choices defined right there. You fucking
If player C.
I think an endless amount.
So up there, so again, it's hard to see. Case finds out hello.
Oh, I call it.
So
So it doesn't really show the default. It's saying, and then when you press it.
No.
F is up for complicated.
oh, that should be running it. So can we start the program over again? I just want to see.
Jim simply
So yeah, so here's what we want to do. If you're seeing weird behavior like this, like man, it's not doing what I want. Look at this name up
You
here.
put all the variables at the end. So just string all you wanna say together and then put help comma attack.
Well, then how's it know where to put it?
It knows whatever order you put the
We
person
have
in.
this one, so right
Oh,
click
okay.
on like the order.
Whichever side's not finished.
Yeah, right click on that.
They went like offlines and stuff. And it's like, cool in there too.
I didn't know it could do that.
I like that
So
they're lined up like that. That's cool. I don't have it like that.
What'd you do?
Yeah. Mine is like less text.
Add that one and then.
It's the exact same.
What time should I be back?
Try to be back like 10.
Mine's not suffering.
It's not an actual break because I'm going to give you guys a break right after this. So it's just for smoke.
Let me see. No, let me see this.
That's weird. Why? Both of ours work. It's interesting that
Actually, you can be back by 10:15. I'm going to give you guys a break after this. So.
he did it. Like, see, he did it. It's interesting. We did it the same way, but like, his actually comes up with them going down.
Huh?
Mine just
Yeah.
stays across. Why
So
is
I bet you. Can you stop running this?
it? Yeah.
Compare the file that you're running. See, these two files are different names. See the file name here for this one. If you double click on that guy, now you have two files open.
Okay, you know
So
what?
you actually want to remove
We're
this
gonna
guy.
do this for the,
See, this is old. So you actually want to remove that guy and then add this one to your project. So a trick is that you can just right click on the file name here, the open
then it's-
containing folder, and just drag that guy into source.
Card type.
Try it again. You missed it. It works.
What is card?
Who's using the other program?
Yeah. Yep. That's why.
That's what reminded it too then.
/3.
Oh, I broke it.
And I have errors. Now you get to fix those errors.
Yeah,
3.
Yeah.
yeah. It's really easy. I like the case easier for sure.
Like the edge
What?
thickness is like
What? That doesn't make any sense. I don't know if this is gonna work. Nope. Wait, what do you put in the?
The black spray was unmatched.
Oh, okay, so it's actually puzzle.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, maybe. Did you put a break on the and then 1, 2? Is there one? No, I'm saying.
I'm giving each of them a card type. Yes.
Like that.
Yes, they get a card type. Alright.
My dumb ass.
Did you get it?
Steven found the best thing in the world.
Oh, what the hell?
Your card type. Yeah. You can, yeah, those passive characters.
We didn't know about this.
No, it's yeah.
Oh, because I'm like input choice.
Yeah, there's other characters too. You can type too.
I keep my biggest fall is I'm not adding input.
Okay, so AC's master 2 is the reason why is because
I'm not doing smiley faces. I'm not even doing the card type. That's stupid.
but we're about to get into more.
I kind of want to put a choice at the bottom.
If you have anything to do with the characters,
Is that weird that I want to
this thing most of you
You did it, yeah.
Not really, not yet.
You did it better.
everyone should even other
I want to put it down here too.
if it doesn't, then it's not gonna make any.
Oh, you put
And then like you have to figure out instead of this, you don't have a break.
So cigarette is not switches, they're very restrictive, very specific. Only the every time you see
That's why I do it, man. Because you had one that I got from there.
It's weird for me because I like to type in capitals. I like to be in every capitals. I can't do that. You can't do that in C++ or any programming.
So we still use
You just have to finish it. I was just saying that where we can go.
that like out of every
Part of that
email,
is
I prefer undocumented 1 out of every 100 bracket balances. So the amount of time that we use it is very few because it's not very flexible. So
Well, that's only for the. You don't need it for the burger.
guys are done, you can go on break. Try to be back by 10:15, please.
I got it over.
Get some food, and then we'll start the actual class lecture.
Do you know how to make your privates?
Finally, I understand it. Little by little.
Whatever reason.
In my head, I was